against my enemies, yeah. You see, you wanted to save you, and then learn how to raise.
Hello there, everyone. What is up? I am Rob.
I'm in.
Oh, damn, son. It's a mini Fuzz. Yep, back at it again, Eamon. Here we are.
We're never not at it.
No.
We're always keeping a keen mind to spooky mysteries. So we're always just immersed in the fear of life. I have quite a bit of fear today. Tied one on last night with a couple of the dogs. One of the dogs is
show,
related to you. Out at a show in the academy. Great show, Cleopatra, Canadian band, and didn't sleep much. Had to share bed with one of the bros.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
Snoring bro.
Snorlax.
And now I've had very little sleep and too much Guinness and whiskey.
Where
and
did you stay?
Just the apartments.
Oh, right,
yeah.
Right. Okay, cool.
So it was. I know it was great fun, but mildly sort of subdued maybe today. Tired.
Sure, that's good. We'll just bring in subdued energy today.
This is going to be a calming episode.
Yeah, of course.
Also, I feel sort of marginally unhinged, so it could go off the rails.
Well, that's good as well. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Hope you're pleasantly hungover and maybe a little bit less subdued than us. We would like to remind everyone before we get into this episode to check us out on Patreon. The solo pod idea is fermented in my head. Something terrible is class.
Crystallized.
I've got about 3 or 4 episodes planned out in my head.
Look at this, man.
And I'm like, ooh, it's all taking shape. So I need to just sit down and do notes now. That's it.
So there's going to be a drop in Patreon soon.
Yeah. So the plan, 6-7 episodes probably. I have more ideas for further on down the line,
cool.
But for now 6 or 7 probably, and we'll see how that goes and we'll see how it's received. But head on over, check out the Patreon. Lots of stuff there, lots of stuff that you may have never seen. There's exclusive videos. There's like video content that was before we were doing video stuff in the studio here. There's a bunch of stuff. So head on over, check it out. You get your ad-free stuff. Access to Discord. You can hang out and chat with us. All that stuff. You can pay yearly if you like to. It's probably the best way to do it. Little reminder to everyone, if you're listening on Spotify, there is a little rating thing down below our name there. If you leave 5 stars, that'd be great. If you want to leave anything less than 5 stars, fuck off, you slag.
Fuck off.
And yeah, Eamon, if they have any cryptid encounters or spooky stories.
Yeah. Did you see something and you thought to yourself, Jesus, that shouldn't be here at all? That's probably from another dimension. monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com. Write in and tell us your spooky stories. Otherwise, we have to keep getting them from fucking Reddit.
Yeah, we can't be doing that.
Come on, guys.
And big shout out to the commenter who was wondering what the significance of the Dan Brown book was on the table. Dan Brown is my uncle.
I thought you said your cousin, but I got confused. He's your uncle.
We haven't talked about that on the pod much, but he is my uncle. I don't like bringing in fame from the family into the pod, you know what I mean? But he is indeed, and he has a new book out now actually.
What's that called?
Can't remember.
The Day the Meteor
Class though.
God
it's really
was
good.
in it and all. Class book.
Yeah, it's really good. Do you know actually Dan Brown and my auntie actually
your mother's sister?
No
it's the other side?
Yes, the other side.
Yeah, okay.
They had an interesting writing relationship where I think what it was not unlike sort of a podcast where she would sort of, I think we were talking about this me and lads the other day, she would come in with like the sort of all of the idea and like the cool stuff. So she'd be like in like Da Vinci Code and Angel's Name, she'd be like Opus Dei and all that blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, okay, I'll write a book out of all
I'll
that.
write a story.
Yeah.
Right.
So like she'd come to
your Andy's like, here's
she's pretty cool, yeah. She's
gems.
cool, but then he was cheating on her, so there's been a bit of controversy in the family.
Are they still together?
Neither her
It's
nor
kind
talk about it
of
on the pod.
tricky, yeah.
You know.
And do they have any children?
I don't know.
That they be your cousins removed once or twice, would they? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Sure, we can't talk about it.
To be fair, I know you've signed NDAs, interfamilial NDAs.
But anyway, shout out.
Yeah, no, that's mad. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth is my brother.
Is he?
No.
All right, well, stop telling lies, Eamon.
Sorry, I was just being playful.
Yeah. So we have.
I think there's a likeness though between the two of us. Two muscular, handsome men.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, from last week before you derailed the podcast with your hate speech and all that. No. Like Kanye West.
What did I do
Kanye West
last week?
The podcast.
I know I've been accused of hate speech before. I didn't do it last week. No, we were going through the episode and then I just went, enough of these notes. And the people seem to enjoy it. We got a lot of positive feedback.
People do enjoy it. Yeah, people do enjoy it when we don't talk about what we're supposed to talk about.
It does. You do kind of wonder sometimes, am I the return of investment on writing these notes? What is it?
Don't encourage two lazy ass motherfuckers
don't encourage
to do less.
Lazier. Lads, just say whatever you want and whatever's in your mind.
Make no effort whatsoever.
Dan Brown is my cousin. Dan Brown is your uncle. Sorry, I keep thinking cousin. Yeah.
Simon, fill us in on this story that we tried to attempt last week.
Oh, we just gave up on it.
But we got Shreked.
Yeah, we did get Shreked. Shrek 3 and 4.
We did.
My property is severely haunted by real CR.
Crate.
Real crate.
Yeah.
Right.
Real CR8.
Yeah.
Crate.
I thought it was real CR8.
No.
Real crate.
No, yeah, crate.
Like real, cretin. In 1995, I purchased about 200 acres for recreational purposes. That sounds so fucking sus.
Well, sure.
No, I get, like
motocross,
whatever, like, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Motocross, just recreational. It sounds
lads.
like there's some whores in this house. Like it sounds like he's up to no
200
good.
acres for recreation. Okay, what would you buy 200 acres for recreational if you were to buy it? What would you do with it, like?
What's that thing? LARPing? Is that where you pretend to be medieval people? It's basically just playing, but you're grown up, right?
There's probably a good percentage of our listeners that go to Ren
Fair. Yeah, I think that we don't have that here.
I wouldn't go to that.
No,
it's a bridge too far for me now. Yeah, I'm not into role playing. Like, I'm not into all that. Yeah. I just feel like a fucking dweeb. I just can't do it. Like,
No, I guess
I can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. Like,
yeah. No, I don't think I think I'd be too self-conscious.
Like, I don't even mind dressing up. I enjoy dressing up. It's just that extra bit.
But you don't want to dress up and do
role play. It's the role play I don't like.
What is it they call it when you're an actor and you totally go into the role? Method acting.
Yeah, method acting.
You would be method. You're effectively method acting as a medieval.
I don't know. It's a me problem. Look, I to be honest, I think probably people that do it are way more happier, and it's probably a me problem. Enjoy your Ren Fair, lads. You know, go around looking for your bucks and wenches, and you're fucking,
Yeah. Have you ever seen that video online where your man's they find a dead body by mistake? We tried to get the sorcerer to revive him, but I think it was too late.
So you LARP. You just like set up 200 acres and do like kind of like Lord of the Rings.
I'd set up like it'd be almost like VR, but it's actually just reality with paid actors.
You'd probably do something like one of them scare places, would you?
Do you know what I'd like to do if money was no object? I'd love to make in Germany they have these. It's almost like these tree assault courses.
Oh yes.
I really enjoy those. So I think some sort of big network of those. But I think some activity centre zip lining stuff. Trabolgan. Where the children? Is there little boy children? Or little girl children? That's my Michael Jackson impression. That's not an impression of me making a child sort of slave labour thing.
I would I think I'd have bonsai nursery.
200 acres.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nursery.
The world's biggest bonsai nursery.
Just nursery.
Big Bad Bob's bonsai barn.
There's a lot of
bonsai bonanza.
It would have to be for that, or to try and bring back dinosaurs somehow. Figure that out. In that 200 acres, we need to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's probably it. So
well, there we go. So he maybe he'll actually say why he did that.
Maybe
he says, over the years, getting out and scouting the area, we have found 2 undocumented cemeteries. Woo! The headstones are hand chiseled and so worn that you can't even make out any words or dates, and some don't have any engravings at all. Anyhow, in 2003, I built a cabin. I decided to build a cabin and ditch the camper setup. Yeah, it is kind of crap, isn't it? Like, if you're in a camper van and you have 200 acres, it's like, look, behold my riches, but then like you have shitty underpants or whatever. Like, it's not ideal. Where's your giant house? I live in this.
Your shit is in a bag.
Yeah. we can't afford to sink the plumbing right now. Ever since then, it's like I made something really angry or agitated. That's it, man. You build a house, the ghosts see the housing crisis and they hate inequity. Since then, I have walked into the cabin and it appeared to have been turned upside down, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Things turned over, things on the floor, you name it. Fucking jizz on the walls. Glazed cemetery. No forced entry, no broken windows, no window locks forgotten to be locked, nothing stolen, just really weird and totally random times this has happened. In 2005, deer season, I invited some close friends to come and stay and hunt the next morning. So they're there the evening. Boys are having the crack.
So that's the recreational stuff he wanted to hunt.
Yeah, he wanted to hunt 200 acres. That's no animal is safe. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Under a Bigfoot, you'd imagine he might make an appearance.
Yeah,
ghoulish, metaphysical Bigfoot. We all got in after work. And planned to cook a steak, have a few beers, and just hang out and catch up. That sounds like a wonderful evening, a gentleman's evening. I love it. It was about 8 p.m. on a Friday night when it started. We had a campfire going out back, sitting around telling war stories. Everyone started to get hungry, so I walked inside to grab the platter of steaks. This sounds wonderful.
What a time to be
I heard a commotion out at the campfire. The grill was on the back patio, and as I walked out, one of the guys said, "You didn't have to hit John with a stick. You couldn't have just thrown it at his feet," as some chuckling ensued. But I didn't know what they were talking about. I said, "What do you mean?" Oh. The guy said somebody threw a 2-foot stick and it hit John right in the side of the head. It about knocked him out. I said, "Man, I walked inside to throw some seasoning on the steaks and grabbed another beer, but it wasn't me." This is typical alcoholic stick fighting.
Yeah.
Sure enough, though, the stick was about 2 feet long and about 1.5 inches in diameter. It was a calm, cold night, no wind at all, no trees within 50 feet or so of the fire pit, so it wasn't a stray limb that broke off and fell on him. John said I was just standing here with my back turned to the fire and heard a stick tumbling through the air, and then boom, it hit me right in the side of the head. He said, "I didn't know what the hell was going on and figured it was you playing a joke or something." I said, "I swear it wasn't me." They all kind of jumped up and ran over to the grill where I was, and then they all ran inside to get their rifles, pistols. So there's the mob.
Average American experience.
Pitchforks. and so someone said, "There is something in those damn woods." So this sounds Bigfootish. Well, we all eased back outside through the front door really quietly. We got over to the corner of the cabin and came to a stop and were just listening. You could hear crunching of leaves from a really slow walk, and it sounded like it was about 100 feet away in the woods. We all grouped together and started walking towards this thing, and we turned on the flashlights in the vicinity of the walking sound. The woods are pretty clean in this area, not a whole lot of underbrush, so you can see a good ways with a flashlight, but there was nothing, and the walking sound was still going. We are talking about 6 grown men that have been in these woods all our lives, and we were all freaked out, to be honest with you. Anyway, we continued the night, and we kept our heads on a swivel, and nothing else happened, but it was weird, to say the least. A few years later, our kids got old enough to come out and hang around with us and go hunting on their own. We had a big get-together with basically the same people, plus a few more. Well, the boys wanted to walk to one of the cemeteries I previously spoke about. I guess they wanted to see how big they were. So anyways, after we ate, I told them we would all walk over there later in the night. I put my pistol on my side and grabbed a flashlight, as all the men did the same. The cemetery is about 500 to 600 yards away from the cabin, with a good wide trail through the woods. We got to walking through the woods, and about halfway there, I thought I was hearing something walking next to us that wasn't part of the group, but I shrugged it off, just thinking it was my mind hearing things. Well, my buddy kind of walked up from the middle of the pack and whispered, "Who do you have in the woods?" I knew then that I wasn't just hearing things. I told everybody to stop and don't move and don't fucking say anything. John was there again and quietly said, "It's the thing from 3 or 4 years ago." Oh. Again, we all shined the flashlights into the vicinity of the... Excuse me, there's a belch. Of the crunching leaves, and there wasn't anything. No. It was closer this time, though. Would have been real easy to see someone or an animal, but there was nothing. We all bolted and ran back to the cabin. To this day, I don't know what it is, but I don't mess around in those woods at night any longer. So yeah, the interesting thing about this story was it wasn't the Bigfoot story. No, it was just like it's a ghost story. So remember, it's very Bigfooty. We talked about in the podcast before the glimmer men, where it's like the predator. So this is at night. So because those things work on light, some people think those glimmer men are big feet. Yeah, metaphysical Bigfoot. Metaphysical Bigfoot. I mean, this is what this could have been maybe metaphysical. Maybe Bigfoot. This is like a video game. Like Bigfoot hasn't loaded in yet. He hasn't spawned, but the actions are still taking place. Yeah. But throwing a stick at a man's head is very Bigfoot.
Yeah, stick attacks.
Stick attacks.
Compared to me, did you see the Patterson and Giblin AI upscale?
Yeah, the one that you put up. Yeah, I did. Interesting.
Yeah. Looks kind of what you'd expect, perhaps.
More monkey-ish than I would have thought. Like, again, but like obviously it's AI, so
it's just working off AI in an upscaled scenario is basically doing.
It's making assumptions on
the nearest pixel beside it, and then also there's another layer of assumption making on what the original picture was. So it works totally different to how an AI drawing is done, which is why when people are commenting, giving out about AI, it's kind of irrelevant. It actually works in a different way.
This isn't.
It's not generative.
Taking from
it is generative, but it's different than how it works.
Yeah,
the mechanism of action is different.
Well, it's looking at something that's completed, and it's basically making assumptions on what that would look like. Yeah.
So it's a technology actually that in the future will be really, really well. It already is fantastic, but it's technology in future that just means
it is mad how like that's just exploded all over the place. It's kind of in the midst of revolutionizing it.
Well, like some of the applications I've seen is people using it to restore really old fucked up photos, like ones that have crease lines in them, like really messed up pictures, like, and it works fantastically for that.
I'd imagine so.
Just little applications like that where it can work really, really well. And it was interesting to see what I thought that Patterson Giblin would look like. It's just from a sort of it's interesting. You're like giving it to a machine and you're going like, what do you think? And it thinks that it's like basically like kind of like a gorilla with a kind of a sort of a human shape to it.
Pretty much.
More or less.
It kind of looks, it looks like a gorilla, but just with, as you said, slightly more human anatomy.
Yeah. So
which is what, to be fair,
it's what Patty kind of looks like.
Bad resolution 70s video looks like.
Like Patty does kind of look like that, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people did say that, like, it missed the ditties, didn't get the ditties the rest of the season, didn't get
I think the other part,
arse.
Yeah, didn't get the arse.
Yeah.
But again, like AI, like it's not meant to be a kind of a.
No, it's not a be all and end all.
Yeah, it's just like
again, just having the crack, really.
Yeah,
it's just like sure, I'm just having the crack, man. I just love loading if you're having the fun.
I'm trying to.
But it looks good. Like it looked interesting. It's just again, it's any kind of. There's been some really good Patterson Giblin like 4K stabilized footage as well that people have done. So it's just nice to see kind of modern stuff with it.
Yeah, like to be fair, the ditties are a bit weird, aren't they? The ditties don't like they come out very angularly.
What, in the AI picture?
No, in the original.
Well, like in the original, like it is strange.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that as a kind of this is why Bigfoot is real, but
because why would you put breasts on it? To me,
it's more
when you know the history of like. And I think what the AI is doing there when they talk about the ditties, the AI is actually making an assumption that ditties don't look like that and is trying to make it more anatomically correct.
There you go. That's a good observation.
So
checkmate, atheists.
See you later, Bob.
No. But yeah, no, it was interesting food.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's even like, because if you look at I'm just looking at it here, like even if you look at the background, like it's not the same background, but it's done very, like the whole image is done quite well.
Yeah.
But you would imagine that is what Mr. Foot looks like.
Yeah, you would do.
Because it looks like a guy in a suit when it's the Patterson Giblin footage. Like,
whether
it is or not, I couldn't tell you, but it does look like that.
It's just, again, I said it once, I'll say it again. Like, there's so much smoke around
around
Patterson.
Bigfoot. Around
him as a character, around him at his whole story. There's so much smoke around that motherfucker. The more research you do, the more smoke there is.
Yeah.
And you can't just dismiss that. Like, you can't just, if you're wanting to believe that they found a Bigfoot, then you can't dismiss the more credible stuff all around him. Like, just because you want the hope that it's real.
That it's real,
Like, there's so many facts around him that are just sus, and that's the truth. And that's the truth.
No, 100%.
Like, if you're going to live in fucking La La Land and pretend that none of that matters, then fair enough. Like, but in my opinion, if you live in La La Land, then it gives less credibility to the idea that there are cryptids in any case.
Yeah.
Because you're just like living in fucking dreamland.
The reality is there's lots of weird stories.
I live with the Bigfoot.
Yeah. You know about him, but I live with him. Hasn't paid his share of the rent in over 6 months.
Yeah,
But that's it, like, and I think that's the thing. It's almost like, you know, when you start talking about politics and stuff, and it's very easy to go into like the far left or the far right or whatever. And they're effectively like I live with the Bigfoot people, like, you know, that's
like hard line, like has to be.
No, like and that frog was Bigfoot, and I tell you now, sir, that bullfrog I saw under the hedge was Bigfoot.
Which is a shame. It's just because again, like we're two cheeks to the same arse, really. But it's just like
we want Bigfoot to be real, but we're not willing to die on that hill.
No,
you know,
no. Some people are though.
Well, this is
do you know there probably is people out there who like literally die because of Bigfoot?
Yeah, they'd be willing to die to prove Bigfoot. Well, willing to die
for Bigfoot.
It's like the wrestling guy. It's still real to me, damn it. You know, if they prove that it's not real. Yeah. But like I think whatever is going on, there's some thing, there's some force of nature or some cosmic thing that is going on with ghouls and poltergeists and Bigfoot and all this. There's something going on there. Whether so, like, if you're mad into like flesh and blood Bigfoot,
like I'm
you're into that,
bit,
and I think think both things could be real.
I'm by no means ruling it out, but like
I think Gimlin is it's the best footage, but also it kind of, to me at least, when I see that, I just go, that looks like a guy in a suit though. Like it doesn't look, animals look like animals. They don't look like fucking, like, no, I've never seen someone who looked like a person in a suit.
Yeah,
or an animal that looked like it wasn't real, you know.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in our like full fleshed out opinions on that, we've done
a good few episodes. Yeah,
I think we did a 2-parter, actually 3-parter on.
Might have done
that.
4 because you got into the Marble Ridge and all the rest of it. Yeah,
but like we did a Bigfoot Origins, we did a Bigfoot Patterson Gimlin dedicated episode, and then we did Bigfoot Modern Sightings and things. So there's a full series there, but like we dedicated a full episode to Patterson Gimlin, and like. Yeah, I think the conclusion has always been that it's just a bit, you know.
It's a bit sus. Like the reality
and at the live show as well, we actually did at the live show. Remember we did a bit of a show of hands on who thinks it's real and who thinks it's fake.
And then me and Cam were like metaphysical Bigfoot. And I was,
we were like, but most people even at the live show were like fairly unanimously like, nah, PGF is not.
Yeah, when you look at it, like, and you've seen any nature documentary, it just doesn't fully add up. Now that's not to say
just look at his drawings. Like look at his drawings.
Before he
found that Bigfoot and filmed that clip, he had drawings of a female Bigfoot in that same position.
But the fellas that used to make, like the lad who used to do a magic show where he made like, 8 women with ditties.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, why would it have ditties? That proves it's real. It's like, well, when you know the full story.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of smoke around it, and the more you delve into it, the more kind of it does lean to that side. But speaking of the devil, we've got a Bigfoot sighting from this year. So, and
again, talking about this, when we're saying the Patterson Gimlin footage might be bollocks. We're not saying Bigfoot is bollocks.
No, like I'm of the belief that, you know, that in North America alone, it's that vast that huge, like there could be some funkiness out there, and whether that funkiness be like escaped apes from some point in time, or it be like some kind of, who knows, like some kind of half wild man shit. I don't know how likely that would be, but you never know.
The most, like, because they're like the big black cats
exactly, like that kind of thing, like
all that sort of, like, and we know that that's real, even though it can't fully be proven. It's pretty obvious. But you would imagine if there's dudes like the Tiger King and all that, there must be like the gorilla guy. And do you know what I mean? There must be dudes like that.
Jeff the gorilla guy.
But there must be people, and I would imagine a couple have gone out, and I like it. Just sort of, that seems like the most logical thing.
A couple of primates out there gone loose somewhere.
But imagine camping down in Carriclow and a gorilla was there.
Fuck that.
I'd absolutely Weetabix. Like,
they wouldn't. The thing with gorillas is, like, I don't think they'd be able to survive in most places outside of, because they eat a lot of bamboo, don't they? Is that what they eat?
Yeah. And they need, like, if you think about
lots.
Yeah, but think about how much calories it must take to keep that thing working.
Mad bamboo, like it would be in your garden, alright.
He's probably on my garden.
I
have to trim the bamboo every now and then, cut down a few of them. So I'll give
sacrifice.
I leave him up in the far corner of the garden. He can climb over the wall there.
Yeah. So this sighting is from Oregon. We have quite a few listeners in Oregon, and it's in Jackson County to be specific. County. So again, this is from the Bigfoot BFRO website, which is a great little repository. There's lots of good stuff over there, so do go and check it out if you're into Bigfoot. The story goes, I was motorcycle camping in the Rogue National Forests of on Friday night, about 3 miles from Forbit Ford campground. I had a campfire, I had some dinner, and I went to bed at around 9 o'clock. At 11:52 p.m, I woke up to the sound of what I believe was an elk running behind my tent, crashing through the forest. I would estimate that it was less than 100 yards away. I've heard elk running through the forest before, so I wasn't alarmed. I did wonder what would cause the elk to run headlong through the forest at night. I thought maybe a predator or a cougar. Then, about 2 minutes later, from the same direction as the elk, I heard 3 distinct percussive sounds that sounded like wood on wood.
Oh.
Each strike was about 1 second apart. We've talked about these, haven't we?
The wood knocks.
This is something I've never heard before, so it caught my attention. At this point, I was listening closely. Roughly a minute later, I heard 3 more identical knocks, but they were further away. I would estimate another 100 yards to the right of where I first heard this set of knocks. Another minute passed, and further off in the distance, I heard another set of 3 knocks, the same pattern as the first and second set. And I finally, about another minute later, some more knocks at the edge of my hearing. It seemed like the animal was making the sounds, moving away from my location, and that it was likely following the path of the elk. At the time, I was struck by how fast the creature was moving away from me. So he's saying that basically, the knocks are moving quick.
There is a thing they talk about Bigfoot. Like, obviously, you can imagine the Bigfoot's gait and like how it would walk, take massive strides.
Yeah.
But there's a thing they've talked about on some of the Bigfoot podcasts before, that it drops down almost like a spider on finger.
Like that,
really spooky. Weird. Like if you think about what that would look like to see a 9-foot creature, but it's really like almost planked, the arms outstretched and the legs, and it's like scurrying really fast. That sounds really creepy, right? But they say there's some reports where they've seen the Bigfoot do this, and it's like they just said it's terrifying looking because it doesn't look natural at all. Like,
no, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
So at the time, he was struck by it moving so quickly. He had been up in the area earlier in the day, and it was an old clear cut that was a tangled mess of branches and brambles. It was tough going. A man couldn't have covered that much ground in pitch black darkness that fast in a tangled mess of a clear cut. It was the craziest thing that he had ever experienced. He said that he had spent sleepless nights there. The next morning, he said he felt uneasy and got out of there as quick as he could. What's interesting sometimes with these stories that come in is like, they're very kind of mundane, but they seem to leave a massive impression on someone, which to me would lead me to believe that, like, because for one, the woods is spookier when you're on your own at night. Anyway, it just fucking is.
Yes.
But like, it leads me to believe that these were fucking like weird and unusual things that are happening that he's not used to, and they're very kind of. Well,
if you think about this, it's either so he's hearing a wood knock.
Yeah.
And then he hears the wood knock, and gradually over time it's further in distance. So it's either, because sometimes they say the Bigfoot are communicating with each other with the wood. So is it a network? Let's say not Bigfoot, let's just say people. And there's people in different spots wood knocking, the wood knockers. That's possible. I guess the fact that that's the other thing I wonder about. The fact that you're uploading this to a Bigfoot research website means that you're probably to some level in the Bigfoot world.
Probably.
Whereas if I was in the forest and I heard wood knocks and getting further away, I probably wouldn't think that. Well, I might, because we talk about Bigfoot.
But that's what I'm saying though, is like, was it that weird that it prompted him to
maybe look into it? Because if you type in, I suppose, weird wood knocks or knocks in the forest, Bigfoot will come up pretty quick, I suppose. Yeah. So maybe he wasn't into it, and he.
The other thing around a lot of these areas, I'm not sure about this area in specific, like to be specific about it, but a lot of these places I've seen in up in Bigfoot areas in North America have like the shops and stuff that are on those roads, little stores, like they all have like Bigfoot merch. They like, the shopkeepers will frequently meet people who talk about Bigfoot. Yeah. So it's quite possible that this guy, just to play devil's advocate, had his experience. He was driving home, pulled into a gas station, as they call it over there, went in and talked to him, and they mentioned, oh yeah, wood knocks. Yeah, I had weird wood knocks last night. You know anything about that? And then the shopkeeper was like, well, let me tell you about wood knocks. You know, we hear a lot about that in this area. But you'll see it in one of the videos I was watching, Peter Santanello videos. He was up in that neck of the woods up north, like I don't know if it was Oregon or was it north. I think it was Northern California. And loads of Bigfoot like stuff in the like touristy Bigfoot stuff, and a lot of people up there just outright are like, oh yeah, there's like Bigfoot's a thing. Like, so I mean, you know, it's a lot of people up there who live there are like, yep, that's a thing. There's something weird up here.
And there must be. Because there's so many stories like this.
Unless there's just some, like, unless, you know, there's some kind of malevolent energy, we've talked about it before, that kind of manifests as different things at
like
different
times. Like the Skinwalker Ranch type thing.
But
liminal.
I mean, the wood knocks, like, surely, I haven't done my research on wood knocks, but like, surely there's some creature that does wood knocks.
I'm sure there is, yeah.
Like, do elk, like, hit fucking trees with their horns?
Yeah, they would do that. And I'm sure even deer, when they're in the rut, they'd be at each other with the antlers.
Late at night, they probably don't, but then again, you never know. So, but I do wonder, I must do my research.
So what's more?
Beavers, do they like knock wood? Do they like picking up wood sticks?
I'm sure there's a lot of animals that do something like that.
So then what I'm asking is, I suppose, you know, a lot of these people writing these stories are outdoorsmen, right? So you would hope that they would know the difference. Yeah. But why and how? Like, what is special about it? Do you know what I mean? Is it mad fucking crazy loud? Is it, you know, is there something about it? Is it like, does it sound like the wood is like snapping every time it knocks? Like, is there something really sinister about it? Is there something going on?
Well, even the hoots, like, you've heard the kind of the big
that's true.
Woo. Like, that's weird. That's odd.
If you hear that with the wood knocks, then it's Weetabix in me pants time.
It's absolute Weetabix.
It's time then.
With max strength Weetabix, like, yeah.
Yeah, because like camping, you know, I hadn't camped in a long time until last year. Like, it was like literally, it had been, you know, 15 years probably since I had camped last, and you do, like, you know.
Oh yeah, you get the heebie-jeebies. Like, it's all, everything's good crack when you're in the house doing this show and like, ha, Mickey's. And then you get out and then you're in the dark by yourself and all the stories come back to you. And it's like, it's your brain's way of being like, yeah, I think I know. I'm using what I know about this scenario. I remember during COVID, I went out to Carrig Graveyard by myself.
Was in your emo phase?
My emo phase, I was out there like,
for your MySpace
I'm gonna
picture.
cut myself and listen to my Chemical Romance or whatever. But I was actually listening. It was one of the first times I had heard Brother Richard. He was on Tim's podcast, Strange Familiars. I was in the forest just past dusk. It wasn't quite nighttime, but it was dark, and I'm like, my plan was just to walk up through the forest up to the street above, and like I got the fucking heebie-jeebies in a bad way, because all of a sudden they're talking about like spiritual entities and blah blah blah, and you're in the dark or twilight, past twilight, and it's like your whole body goes into fight or flight because you're in the situations they're talking about. Conceivably, it's really spooky. Like,
we need to get Brother Richard on again for I think we need a book of Revelations, like Bible studies with Brother
actually
Richard.
Get the right, and just
but just his interpretation, just his take.
Well, I think the best thing of Brother Richard is we could just like, tell us what you think about the book of Revelations, and then like he'll just like
they catch him before the Pope goes though, because they'll be in mourning once the Pope goes.
How long do they mourn for?
It's not super long. I was talking to him about it because I was like, when the Pope was sick, I was like, actually, we were just chatting about something else, and then I was like, actually, like, what's the procedure with the Pope? Like, if he goes, but there is a procedure,
right?
There is an official mourning period. I think it's about probably 2 weeks.
Is there a smoke? I know there's like a white smoke when there's
that's
is there
the
a
whole
Pope that goes out when he
I don't know
dies,
that,
or smoke that goes out?
I watched Conclave there recently, but I can't remember.
I heard that like that's a good movie. And the end of it is like, you're like, oh wow.
I don't know, like I was half watching, I'll be honest with you. What I was disappointed about is that it's not a true story. So like,
gotcha.
It's one of them like films that seems like it should be, but it isn't. And then you're kind of like, oh, this is a bit of a missed opportunity. Then it's cool because like it has the Sistine Chapel and all in it, but like it kind of felt like a missed opportunity to make maybe a film about a scandalous ass Pope or something. Do you know what I mean? So like, after it was all said and done, I was like, was that just something on it? Lads were like, oh no, it's not, like it's not.
It's
I'm
fiction.
like, all right, okay, like, do you know what I mean? And I was like, all right,
yeah.
It's one of them to expect.
I watched that. Speaking of things in the zeitgeist right now, I watched that Adolescence TV show.
Oh, is it good? Is it okay? I watched it.
It's tough work. It's heavy. It's very, very heavy. Is it good? It is good. Objectively, class. It is good. Like, it's just, I wouldn't call it class. Like, it's a heavy watch, man. Really heavy watch.
They're the best.
And you're kind of looking at it going like, oh wow, is this like, not so much because it's obviously there's not an epidemic like that, but you can kind of see it's basically just going like, when we were kids, we were like
poking dog shit with a stick.
Yeah, we were latch door kids, like, so we were just out on the streets, which again, there's probably elements of that, but we didn't have whereas nowadays, like, kids are inside, they have the internet, and I don't think they're ready. They're certainly not emotionally or mature enough to deal with the level of access that they get there, and that seems to be, can obviously manifest itself. I think what it goes is just sort of shows everyone is responsible in some way or another for this kind of thing that happens.
Motherfuckers shouldn't be on fucking phones, though. Kids shouldn't be on motherfucking phones. Do you know, here's a really cool thing I heard. So some of the schools in Wexford, some of the out of the town ones, like in like 3 different parishes, like 3 different areas, these schools, the primary schools, so for our listeners that aren't from Ireland, primary school is like from age 5 to like age 12. All the parents got together, right? And all the teachers, everything. And they all unanimously came up with, we're not going to give our kids phones until at least they get to 12. And once they go into secondary school, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But what happened then was, because everyone was on the same page, like, there was none of this shit with kids bringing their phone into school. There was none of this. There was none of that. And it was like, it's just really handy because everyone's on the same page, and there's none of this bullshit.
There should be some sort of, like, this is a thing that is going to have issue ramifications. It was grand when we had Snake.
Melted, man.
Yeah, man. Like, my brain's melted and I'm halfway through life just from all the shit that I have access to on this. Can you imagine being like 12?
Like
I just can't imagine.
They're like lads 7, 8, 9 have access to the phone, full internet, like, with parents that are absolute fucking morons.
But because it's not analog as well. Like, we've put the phone in front of my niece, who's not even 2, but totally understands it. Understands the tap and the movement.
Kids are man. Even with TVs, though, I'm watching it now with my mates, newborn. Like, they're fucking hardwired into screens. Kids are just hardwired into screens. Like, we would have been as well, but like,
for sure.
They're like, moving shapes on a fucking like he's like enamored with it, like he's like locked in when the telly's on. They're like, all right, they're picking up on that. So you can only imagine with a phone. I watched, nearly choked on my tongue there. I watched Godzilla -1 on the weekend.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. So a couple of things to note. First thing is, I didn't realize that Godzilla's theme tune is actually Pharaoh Munch's Simon Says song uses the Godzilla sample.
Oh, right.
And I was like, oh, that's Pharaoh Munch, but it's actually Godzilla.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that one. A couple of things that I will say about Godzilla, though. A couple of little gripes that I have. We need Godzilla to be more like a dinosaur. I think his design needs to change.
I disagree with this. I think Shin Godzilla, I like the fact that
he's big stupid ass plastic.
I love
80s toy looking ass.
He looks like, because the CG and everything they used for this, I thought he looked
really good. I didn't like his eyes. I don't like his eyes, Godzilla.
His eyes can be a bit too human at times. I think it should have more. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I do prefer the Godzilla. Like, I watched the old
Godzilla
school
was the king. I think
from the American version.
Yeah, I liked his design.
Yeah, but it's not Godzilla.
I think he's cool, man.
He does look cool, but like, he's a dinosaur.
It's like a T-Rex, like.
Yeah, but that's just
Godzilla is a dinosaur.
Godzilla's not a dinosaur.
No, but you're missing the point. Godzilla's design back then, we're getting into it now, bitch, was based on the T-Rexes back then when they didn't know what the fuck a T-Rex looked like. So they were making them like, they're making them look like fucking Barney the dinosaur, because that's what T-Rex is. They thought a T-Rex was upright. I don't
think so, because
they thought a T-Rex was upright. They thought it was like that.
No, I get you. But like, they've sort of Japanized him so that he has. But I think that's the thing. You couldn't, like, if you look at Godzilla, I think the Japanese were disgusted by the 90s Godzilla movie. Well, they were just like, but that's not...
There shouldn't have been an ad Puff Diddy in it. I mean, what the fuck? Like, he rapped on it. That's class.
And Led Zeppelin, yeah. Two nonsense up there doing their song.
You take that back.
T-Shock, how dare you? Now, again, I like the 90s Godzilla. I think it's a fun movie. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
but I think his design, I like. His design. Now, I've watched the old... It's funny that you watched -1 because I watched the 2003 one with Mothra and Mechagodzilla, Kiryu.
Right.
But I love that design. I love the way all that, because it looks so iconic. It's iconically Godzilla. Like, what do you think about the new? Do better, Japan. I think you're wrong. What do you think about the American Godzilla movies, the more recent ones?
I haven't seen them, I don't think.
So
I seen one of them, and
his design is like his design is
at the time when it was on. So
you weren't really paying full attention. Godzilla's out there like,
I was like, I think
spraying lads
20 minutes in, my pants were out,
and you're like, oh wow, ooh, looks like me and Godzilla are doing some blazing today.
I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, but his the design is, again, it's not. It's closer to the Japanese one, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Less
I thought it was good though. Right, that Yank one. Was
the 90s one or the ones that recently came out?
The recently ones. Who was in that again? The main?
I think Bryan Cranston was in one of them.
Oh yeah, maybe they weren't that good though.
I saw the first one and I wasn't. I didn't think it was terrible, but I wasn't mad about it. The Japanese ones, I think there's part of it because we're more akin to American culture.
Yeah.
So when you see like a Japanese movie, the feel of it is different, and that's like more interesting sometimes.
That was a cool story. It's fun.
I thought they did a really good job, like that whole idea that he's the kamikaze pilot who has to find the courage to they did, because there's only so many ways you can make a Godzilla movie. To be fair, cool. I think they really did the human side of it. It almost reminded me of like Jaws or something.
Well, I like how there was no explanation to what he was doing or anything either. It was like, there's this big bad bastard, and
that's if you look at the one.
It's like there's no explanation.
Yeah, it's just like he's just like, wrecking stuff.
There's not even like, oh, this is what he's trying to do or this is what he wants to do. It's like he's just going around.
He's just going around. I like that.
Basically, like
the one that came out in 2016, Shin Godzilla. I think it's written by the guy who wrote like Evangelion.
Oh yeah.
But that's, again, it's the whole movie is just like they're just trying to stop him. It's wonderful the way they do it, and it's just war.
Is there one after -1? Has there been a newer one?
No. -1 was the last one that came out. That's about a year and change old, or 2 years old.
It is, yeah. It's about 2 now, I think.
Yeah, give or take. Just under 2, I think.
Yeah. It's good though. No, I enjoyed it. It won an Oscar. I
think it won Best Visual, and it's one of the ones that brought to light the amount of money Hollywood are spending on special effects. This was like a fraction, and it's just done way. It's like that Chinese AI. Where the Americans this will cost billions. So it's like, we did it for like 50 million.
We did it on an Nokia 3310.
Yeah,
and it's
Eared
class. Snake. No, it was good. I enjoyed it actually. I thought it was quite good. Very good. And well, we're that far in now because we have so what we'll do is we've got this little story here. So we've got a bit of everything in this episode. So we've got Bigfoot, we've got potentially ghosts or potentially Bigfoot, and we've also got a bit of alien stuff. Now, what was interesting about this, Eamon, and the reason I put it in here was because this is something that we kind of talk about from time to time of like how aliens would exist, how would they get here, what method of propulsion would they use, yada, yada, yada. So my good friends at Live Science had an article about, would aliens need a power supply to jumpstart their civilization? And if they did, would they use fossil fuels? Okay. So if you want to take it away there, Eamon, it's just a bit of weighing in on that kind of topic.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Fossil fuels powered the Industrial Revolution. Yes, can confirm. Mm-hmm. Would aliens need a similar power source to jumpstart a technical revolution? To build a modern civilization, aliens would likely need to use a source of energy that's just as abundant as fossil fuels, said Lewis Dartnell, an astrobiologist and author of The Knowledge: How to Rebuild Our World from Scratch.
Now,
it would be hard for them to simply bypass the production of fossil fuels, he noted. Dartnell drew a parallel with humans. In the 18th century, the world entered the Industrial Revolution by tapping into what appeared to be a limitless source of energy. Coal burned longer and produced more power than wood and charcoal. Prior to that, energy was the fundamental limitation on how much you could do. It would limit how much you could mine and move things around, what you could build and what you could make. The question of whether humans could have bypassed fossil fuels to reach alternative energy sources is somewhat of a chicken and egg dilemma, Dartnell told Live Science.
Yeah.
For instance, producing solar panels requires silicon, and extracting and refining this element demands a significant amount of energy.
To get to that point, like, so you can't just wake up and go, let's make silicon.
Yeah.
Like, let's make...
No different to even when you're talking about electrical power.
Yeah.
Like, you need oil for the grid. Like, you need something to keep it moving, you know? The easiest way for intelligent aliens to create fuel would be to start by burning stuff, like humans did, until they can move to other sources of energy. They could perhaps harness the light of a star or of the kinetic energy of the wind, but wind energy on its own would not create the high temperatures needed for the smelting, forging, and casting of metals, which would be needed for industrialization. Meanwhile, hydropower would only work if the planet had significant amounts of accessible liquid, which most planets we found don't possess, added Seth Shostak, an astronomer and director of Search for Extraterrestrial. Search for extraterrestrials, SETI,
the buys.
Of course, aliens aren't necessarily bound by the same constraints as humans, and our imagination often limits us to thinking in terms of a human timeline. It's hard for us to predict what the aliens might do. It's like asking Julius Caesar what he thought the Romans would be doing with oil in 2025 when they were only using small amounts of oil for lamps. Julius would probably have had some ideas all based on Roman knowledge. He would completely miss the mark. You have to keep that in mind. An intelligent alien civilization could be nothing like what we would expect. While aliens would likely need an abundant energy source to advance their civilization, who's to say what form that energy would take? The answer could lie beyond human understanding.
That last paragraph is like exactly what I've been saying since like we started the podcast. Is like alien existence and alien life and UFO activity and all that could just be so far out of our imagination and understanding that.
Well, it's
alien in concept.
But we're on a planet that has what it has.
Yeah,
we haven't visited any other planets, or we don't understand the sources of energy. Again, when you look at these sort of mad UAPs and stuff, you see it's almost like a cold fusion thing, because right now all energy is heat based, and the hotter something is, the more energy it consumes, the more kilowatts it burns through in terms of electricity. But if there's a way, like that whole idea of the heatless energy, that's totally an antithesis to how we currently produce energy.
This is a dumbass idea, I don't know, but like, are we aware of every single element and alloy that space can produce? Probably not, right?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No.
I mean, I assume
have we got to a point where we're like, oh, the galaxy is made
it's all made of this? Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so, because they assume it all just comes from, it's hydrogen, right? But like in terms of the Big Bang and all the rest, everything comes from that. But no, there must be because you think if you started to Neil deGrasse would be able to tell us,
because they just found sulfur on Mars, sulfur rock.
There's a lot of people talking about.
Looks really cool, actually.
But there's people talking about Mars, and they're saying that it may have been the case that Mars, wiped themselves out.
That's what I think. Yeah.
And if they did, it would maybe serve as a good wake-up call for us who seem to be on a similar trajectory.
Wouldn't it be mad if that was the case? It was like, all these planets will eventually become habitable, will eventually become extinct, and it's like a kind of a knock-on thing that happens. Yeah. Like,
I think that could be the case.
It could be. I mean, that would imagine they fucking found something crazy on Mars. Like, they were like, oh yeah, we were drilling into this rock and we fucking hit like a vehicle or something. We hit like the remains of something. You're like, what? Do you know what I mean? Or we hit a fossil of like some kind of ape.
Yeah.
Like, what?
There was a guy. I was listening to, what is it? American Cosmic is the name of the podcast. But like he seems to have a basis in physics or maths. So he has guys on. They talk stuff that I can't really understand.
That's the best type to listen to.
But then they get into like, as they're doing that, your man's talking about the face on Mars. But they're also like NASA people. But they would be of the opinion, some of the guys that are on the show are of the opinion, like, there was definitely life there and blah, blah, blah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. imagine they found dinosaur fossils or something up there. Like, how
that'd be
cool would that
class.
be? That'd be just like, then you'd be just like, what the actual fuck is going on here, actually?
Yeah, I'd probably call in sick. Like, I'm not coming, dinosaur fossils on Mars, I'm not coming to work today.
Like, what in the actual fuck is happening? No, it's interesting. All that shit is really fascinating. So yeah, that's the type of article every now and then you read it and you're like, yeah, that kind of, even though it boils down to what we say on the podcast, it does it in more of a way that's kind of palatable, because like most of the time we end up coming to the conclusion like, oh yeah, actually, like we actually don't know, or maybe we can't understand what's out there, and like that's odds on likelihood of it. I mean, it's probably just as unlikely that on some random ass other planet they find coal, they find they find fossil fuel, and they're able to make the same things we did and come to the exact same conclusions.
Yeah.
Like with all the same materials and the same quantities of materials to make that happen. And you know, like that to me seems just as unlikely. So yeah, it's probably just as possible that, you know, if there are alien civilizations, they're just totally built on different ideas, different.
No, for sure. And again, you're assuming that they have it's resource, right?
Yeah,
if they have the same resource as us, they will likely come up with the same ways of creating energy as we have. But if they have different resources,
and as well, like we're looking at it through a human lens, like so. If there's some other kind of weird ass species, then they're going to look at it through their lens, weird ass species lens.
Well, think about, but even when you think about that, isn't it bizarre that like that stuff exists in this form that we can like make planes and
it's not.
It's a really bizarre thing that exists within sort of, you know, the blood of the planet or whatever, Shinra. But it was funny. I saw a little meme the other day where it was like, it showed someone just saying, imagine I could go back in time and show everyone how smart I was. And all the like cavemen were like, how does electricity work? And he's just like, I don't know, lol. Like,
it's, the way we operate definitely does seem like out of sync with the rest of nature, but then at the same time we are using things that were provided by nature. So
and we, again, I've said it so many times, it's like we are nature. And I know we're not now, but we are, like we're on the planet the same as everybody else.
It kind of seems like maybe we've hacked the code, or we found a bit of an exploit, because like you look at, say, the likes of a tree, and the way that a tree operates is a lot more harmonious with the planet versus how we operate. Like a tree, its leaves die, the leaves provide fertilizer for itself. It's
got a balance of nature.
It's got like a balance, whereas we did have a balance once upon a time, but like we hacked out of it. We were like, no bitch, it's time for PlayStation.
Now we want to do this.
So it's time for PlayStation and whiskey, brother.
It's funny, I had a
Steam
Decks and whiskey place. It's class. Like we're, you know, here for a short time. A fun time.
Is that all natural? Like, because like, you see, the thing is that we're going to get into super sci-fi territory here, but like, if it's a thing where we really harness ours to the point of where you're like, Jesus, like, are we able to sustain this? And a lot of people would say we're already at that point, but like, if we get to that point and we are able to, say, just slingshot off to a different planet, we're able to use all that planet's resources, and then we're able to slingshot off,
and then we basically just become like,
well, that's natural then to us.
It's natural to us, but again, we become like a sci-fi villain. We go like locust.
Well, we do and we don't, because you could just look at, on a bigger scale, the planets in the solar system and the planets in the galaxy as harvestable resources.
Yeah. I think the other bit that's kind of weird about it is that, like, in order for us to live in harmony with the planet, we have to not have the intellect that we have. Because as humans, there's no way that we would understand the theory of how to create something amazing.
Necessity is the mother of invention, you know?
And it's not, but funnily enough, it's not even necessity. It's just
sometimes it is.
True.
To get to where we are,
the Manhattan Project and stuff. Yeah, for sure. But it's like we just do things to do them. It's like we want comfort, but it's also one of the worst things we can have within reason. We're a bizarre creature. We're a really weird creature.
Oh yeah, like even the concept of, again, we'll circle back to, maybe we'll do this every episode, I'll get back to bonsai. That even the act of having a bonsai tree is basically your harness in nature.
But it's a natural hack, I suppose, in that you're not like, you're just you're
doing human. Like,
it's almost because we've been splicing plants just non-scientifically,
but they think you're going
for a long
closer to
time.
God. So like that's the philosophy with bonsai, is like you on your quest to self, you're getting closer to God because you're understanding the creation process and you're seeing life in this kind of minuscule form. Yeah. And so there's a sort of a spiritual, spiritual thing that comes from it. So it's it's really weird when you think about it. It's like, why are we always playing God then? Like what's the but
it's even, what is it in us that, because like most animals have kind of a nature that things they do. Every now and then you see an animal that like sort of for whatever reason doesn't follow that. Like there was a documentary, it showed it was a pride of lions, I believe, and one of the lions was just a psychopath and was killing cubs.
Class.
And the other lions knew something was up with it, so it was like ostracizing this like one psychopathic lion,
right?
Which is sort of, you see in our culture with people who are actually, you know, serial killers and blah blah blah. But there is something about we on the surface we eat, we try to even now we're not even reproducing to the same level, like
not in the West anyway.
Yeah, so like we've done all this mad stuff that like our core is we need food, we need shelter, blah blah, we need the basics. But outside of that, we're immensely different and weird.
Oh yeah, like there's a lot of things, like even a lot of conditions that we have as humans, like a lot of psychological conditions and all that, are just completely against what you would think would be natural for us to be like. Like
you do
even of like say something like an eating disorder, like that there's two, you know. So if you're say bulimic, it's like this totally strange, sort of against kind of your natural urges. Like it's in a way it's like this twisted conquering of the self as well, where you're like, it's
a control thing as well, I guess.
And it's
because like, but I think the issues like that are manifestations of control. And even the opposite, where you have people who are massively obese. I was listening to some talk by a guy, and he said, well, actually, when I was talking to someone, I asked them like, when did they start eating excessively? And a lot of times it can link back in sort of childhood sexual abuse.
All right.
And they start to eat at the time they start getting abused. Yeah. And it's almost like it as if you get like massively obese, then in the future, obviously you're not as much, you don't get as many advances towards you. So, and but there's a kind of, it's almost like, the brain it's making sense in a way. It's doing the thing to protect you. The same with anxiety. And
but isn't that weird though?
The way that the manifestation of it is
all
back
within,
to front.
It's all within the parameters of like the social construct. So it's like within our society, being obese is not attractive. So like I'm going to do the thing within our society, this like specific thing that will potentially shield me from being YouTube algorithmed.
Yeah,
so it's like
it's bizarre. And then you have other cases where it's just, I would imagine there's people who, for them, whatever it is about food, they like, it's like someone who has a real addict brain for drugs or alcohol, but for them it's just food.
Yeah, no, I'd be a little bit like that with food.
Yeah,
I'm not like I don't eat everything around me, but like I can gorge.
Yeah, like when I go to McDonald's with you, I'm always impressed at how much you order,
which I'm happy about. But I like, because I'm happy about it because I eat at a level where I'm not overweight and I'm also not turning to other things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
But like, that's a control thing, I suppose, too.
Possibly, because the other side of it is there's
flirting with obesity.
The taste of food is good. Playing
chicken with obesity.
Yeah. Like I don't really, food doesn't bother me. Like I don't really care what I eat or not. But for me, there's definitely something about like me and alcohol work well. Now, again, not in like I'm not like sucking lads off down at the back of pennies for alcohol. But for me, it's a nighttime thing. I love a couple of drinks at night, just like to, which probably is really it's almost like taking sleeping tablets constantly, I'd say, because you're not getting decent sleep, so it's probably causing you to be more addled and anxious. And
I definitely used to have like a not eating control thing for sure.
Not eating. Well, we were both super skinny back in the day.
It was partially like habitual, but it was also partially like there was an element of like emotional not eating. Definitely.
Right.
Whereas I do have an element now. I don't think I have an emotional eating thing, but there was definitely an element of emotionally not eating. Like if I was stressed or anything like that, I wouldn't eat. And I just go around like on an empty stomach like a fucking hungry dog.
It's a mad thing.
But I was like 10.5 stone. Like I was 10.5 stone and 6'5", which is like fucking basically like
you were skin and bone. Like
there was wasn't a pick on me. Like
because but back when we first met each other,
we were both
and your cousin as well. We were all super.
They were all paunchy, fucking washed up on the beach bodies.
Yeah, we get that Ozempic. I was looking at because people talk about Ozempic face. Is there something about Ozempic where like it wears your muscle away faster than just not eating in general?
I think so. I think I don't know.
I was looking at people's faces, and I haven't. When you see people lose weight naturally, the face usually, it doesn't get that gaunt.
Yeah, I think it's a metabolism thing. I'm not actually 100% on that, but yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think there's anything else now. Oh yeah, I'm figuring out I'm going to be a menace to the public soon.
Oh Lord.
I found out how to air layer plants. I'm jumping to tell you how to air layer plants.
I don't even know what that is.
So basically what you're doing is with an air layer is you're finding a nice tree that you like and you're like, oh, I like that tree, which is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
And then you basically, so what you do is you go up, you get the branch you want, you cut around it with a scalpel or like a Stanley blade or whatever, box cutter, and you take off about that much of the bark, right. The full way around. And you scrape it all off, blah, blah, blah. And then you put a plastic bag, fill the plastic bag full of soil, tie it on both ends. And what happens is you leave it for like 2 months. The branch sprouts roots. And then you can just plant the branch. You cut the branch, you can plant it in the ground. So bang, you've got a tree. So now lots of trees up in this street. So if anyone sees any bags around the tree, it's me. It's actually it's a really cool method of getting just like grown looking trees, like for bonsai.
Very cool.
So a bit of air layering is going to happen there.
Air layering sounds lovely.
That's what I learned this week. Anything out of you? If you figured anything out?
I didn't really figure anything out. I was doing singing lessons for a bit because I was having got the voice back to where it used to be before, which is pretty cool. But I have to it's like I had to change the way I was doing things to hit certain notes and stuff, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know the specifics of how to do that because I'm not like trained in music, if that makes sense.
Not those, method.
Yeah, so method and style and stuff like that. So that's what I've learned most recently. The lady who helped me with that was really good, and she's given up the lesson. Otherwise, I'd shout her out.
All right, so she stopped.
She stopped for a while, but if she gets back into it, I might say whatever the contact is on this. But it was really good. I was grateful.
I paused my penis lessons last week.
Yeah.
I just got a lot of like sort of 2 reasons. One, a lot of things on the horizon during the day, and then also money as well. So it's fucking expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive being a penis.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Little penis.
Fucking dares, fucking shit's fucking spenny.
Well, the singing was the same. It's like half-hour lessons for 50 quid or whatever.
Big day.
Maybe it was maybe 30 quid. But again, means to an end, got me where I needed to go, and I understand things a bit better.
Yeah, I paused just for about a month or two probably.
But you should as well. And I think if you're comfortable not doing them for a bit and you want to go your own way, like Fleetwood Mac, then maybe that's a good thing to do. But aside from that, I haven't done. I don't think all is lost with Pan Am.
Oh yeah,
I was talking to your cousin and he said no. He said it doesn't. He said it doesn't happen when you rescue Sol. So you must have been confused.
I don't even know what you were saying to me. I was just saying if you were
just thinking.
I can't remember that fucking shit. So I can't remember that. I don't remember anything. So like,
well, I'm on a train to Dublin now tomorrow. So I'm probably gonna again have to turn it off. Mid-track. We're getting the late train, so it won't be up till like midnight.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
It's kind of look out the window, you can see the moonlight rippling on I will say I came down, we got the train to Greystones today on the way down. And I was just looking out at the sea and I was like, this is actually like, now that the weather is getting fine.
Spring, man, listen.
Yeah,
class. Getting class. I was out buying little trees and all the other day. Class. Loves it. In the garden centre all the time. I'm repotting stuff. I'm busy with that.
Your garden looks lovely out there. The way you've done
Thank
stuff
you,
as well,
Craig. It'll get better now. This is only the beginning.
Believe it.
There's lots of stuff to go. Repotting big plants costs you quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like house plants, like it cost me like 50 quid to repot my Monstera. Like, I'm like, all right, okay. The motherfucker, I pulled him out and his roots were like, he looked like a pot noodle.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, you're like really root bound. So yeah, I was like, mad money. But no, it's great. It's actually cool. I bought a lot of little in the garden centre I go to, they do like €5 little small little like trees. Perfect for bonsai. So I bought me wire. I'm gonna do all wiring. I'll give you a bonsai, like one I make.
Yeah.
From scratch.
Cool.
Do you want a holly or do you want a pine? What do you think? A pine?
Yeah, I think I want a pine. Chris Pine. I call him Chris.
Yeah, you call him Chris. Yeah,
Chris the Pine.
Right, then we'll leave it there, I think, folks. Quick reminder to everyone, leave a review if you can do, or a rating. It is always appreciated, and it's a good free way to help us out here on the podcast. Might have some fun news coming soon, actually, so that'll be good if we do. You'll know, you'll be the first to know about some cool little stuff that's just small little stuff, but it's cool. And I'm trying to think, there was something else I was meant to say at the end of this episode, and I can't remember. But yeah,
there's a mini fuzz every week. It'll come back to you.
Yep. So we'll leave it there, folks. I've been Rob.
Eamon.
Mini fuzz over and out.